She got a taxi, that's why she's gone.
So you just needed my signature on this one? On both, right? Because I'm not doing any changes, so.
Okay,
Yeah, it's
that is perfect. Thank you very much. It's about
kind of more excited for the next thing.
migration.
It's just your speed.
It is perfect.
It is.
Okay, folks, it's 6 o'clock. Welcome to the City of Smith Center business meeting for January 22nd, 2024. First thing on the agenda is we need to review the minutes from January 10th, 2024. If all those look in order, there's no discussion. We need a motion to approve, and also while we're at it, pay the vouchers for the bills.
Second. Go ahead.
Move and second. Moved by Dawn, seconded by.
I'll second it.
Second by Brady. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
On previous business, the pay scale, unless there's some discussion there, the thought is to table that till the first meeting in February when we have a full council scheduled. David Bryce will be back by then. And I think it'd be beneficial to all parties if we had everybody here to have that discussion. You want a motion on that, Jill?
We do need a
Does
motion.
everybody agree with that?
Yeah.
I'll move to table it.
A motion on the table and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion approved. Okay. Next thing we got is the CD grant, and this is a. Get there to it. So what we're looking for there is a motion to approve the project requirements to comply with the Build America, Buy America Act and authorize the mayor to sign it. Is that correct, Jill?
That is correct. It's a CDBG requirement for the grant process.
And no surprises here, this was as expected, correct?
Absolutely.
Can Chris sign it
He
if
is not
they
able to.
approve it tonight?
They still can approve it. I did check
Okay.
with Karina at Northwest Kansas, and it has to be a mayor's signature, no stamp. As long as the council makes the motion and authorizes, he can sign when he gets back and then forward it on.
Sounds good.
It doesn't look to me like the lieutenant governor signed it.
Looks like a stamp.
Abby, somebody, Abby,
That's for him.
oh, I know. So but nobody could sign for Bryce?
Guess not.
Also moved that we do the 23 CBR 012 agreement.
Okay, got a motion on the table by Tracy,
Second.
second by Don. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion approved on the 23-CBR-012 agreement.
Thank you.
The next bullet we have is on the lagoon project, following page. No surprises here. This is just our request for reimbursement for what we've paid out thus far. $1,500 to Northwest Planning, and then $7,080 to Wilson Company for their services as well. Again, this is just the red tape we've got to process through to get our reimbursement for those checks that have been written already. If everything as expected there, right, Jill?
Correct.
Nothing's
Formality.
changed? Yeah. I can make that motion, correct?
Yes, you can.
Yeah. I'd make that motion to approve the grant reimbursement for $1,500 to Northwest Planning and $7,080 to Wilson and Company.
Second it.
Second by Brady. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That is complete. That should be all of our previous business. Is that right, Bill?
Yeah.
Okay. So a new business, the airport runway 1836 closure. I would assume we're 100% sure this is what we're going to do, right? Because once we get this is gone, it's probably never going to come back. Is that correct?
Correct.
And the airport board committee, they.
Yep.
Okay. So what will happen to the old runway? Will it just sit there and go in disrepair, or what will we have to do?
My plan is to get with Mitch at the county, because they do have a,
Grinder or something?
but maybe not do it all at one time, but get it back to grass. Get it back to, kind of a turf grass like what the rest of it is, where if they have to land on it, they can.
I see, in case of a crosswind or whatever purpose.
Won't have anything to do with the FAA or anything else. It won't be an actual runway, which the one we got out there now it's not lighted or, nobody uses it, so.
So do we have to go through a process to report this is no longer a,
No, not
runway?
really. The guy that's doing all this, basically give the okay, and then we'll put a note out to the FAA, and we either gotta put big yellow X's on it or tear it up.
and I think I asked this last time, but by us losing this second runway, it does not alter or create a situation where we lose funding, any kind of funding from, or assistance on the other one. Is that correct?
Not to my understanding.
We're sure about that.
For sure. It's based off of our hangars right now, so.
Okay, there's no assistance because of the, right, okay.
No. Yep.
Getting out of my wheelhouse there, but, any discussion from the council?
How long is that runway? Just out of curiosity.
But
How long is that runway
the old one,
that they're gonna tear out? Or
I don't know. It's been so long since I've heard that number, I don't remember. I'm thinking it's like 3,500 feet. The new one's 4875 or something like that.
Can it be used now, or is it,
Oh, yeah, they can land on it, but it just needs
Ballpark.
repaired. I mean, there's places where you got splits that are that wide that we've filled with crack fill and filled with crack fill, and it just keeps settling out and going underneath the asphalt.
so more than likely we'd be better off the grass runway anyway, if push comes to shove, correct?
Yeah. He said we were talking over $1 million just to go in and do where they grind it up, put it right back down with oil.
Yeah.
But the cheapest thing you can do with them, he said, you're talking about over $1 million project easy.
So I would take it then to whatever the pilots have access to, that will no longer show up as a viable runway.
That's the way they do away with any liability for the city.
Right. That's what I
As long as
was,
we have it Xed and or tore out one way or the other, they can land on it all they want, just like you can land on the highway out there if you're having problems. But if you crash, it's your own butt.
This should go else.
Yeah. So we just need to make a motion to close it. I'll move to close 1836 runway.
A motion on the table from Beatty,
second.
second by Dawn. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion approved to close runway 1836. Okay, the next action item we have is regarding our advanced insurance, which is our short-term disability and life insurance policy, and that's just an account summary that we have there. Anything we need to be aware of here, Jill?
There are no rate changes.
No rate changes from prior year? That's great.
This insurance, the disability section fills the gap from the first day the employee begins working up to the 6-month mark when Capers takes over on the disability side.
Looks good to me. Dawn, you have anything about this?
Nope.
Tracy?
Nope.
Brady?
Nope.
I don't either. I'd make that motion to approve the advanced insurance company renewal policy.
I'll second that.
A motion to the table, a second by Tracy. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion approved. That's all the new business that we have here. Next, we have Trace. Looks like you have some discussion about a Toro mower. What do you got for us?
So as a board, at the golf course, we looking to get a new fairway mower. I know we've talked about it in the past. But I got a quote here from my Toro rep with all the details. They got the quote is $40,000 for a demo, 142 hours. And this new model, since we have greens that have banked collars instead of flat, this is a 15 to 20% lighter machine, 3-wheeled instead of 4. The reason we're wanting to get a newer one is the other one's a 2003, and this summer we did a lot of work to it, and half the time it still wasn't operable.
And what you have now is a Toro?
Yeah.
Is ours sellable?
It's available, yeah.
And so I don't see a trade here. Is your board's plan or thought to sell that privately?
Yeah.
Like on? Right. And this demo has 142 hours?
Correct.
Is it like last year's model or something?
2019, I believe.
2019. 2019, really? So really, that's a 5-year-old machine.
This falls underneath our purchasing program as well, so we'll get a discount.
It's still considered new from them?
They, new and used.
Oh, really?
It still has a 2-year limited warranty.
The warranty clock has not started yet, correct?
Don't believe so.
I'm surprised demos that are 5 years old exist. And is this, I don't know anything about greens mowers. Is this going to do what you need it to do in its full capacity?
Yeah, actually, we don't have a T-mower right now. It's been broke down. So we can use this machine to do collars, approaches, fairways, and tee boxes.
Well, from what I understand, we've spent about $2,000 in the old one just to kind of keep it running, and it's limping along at best. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Any idea what a non-demo new one would be?
So it was in the other quote, I think, what was it, 60?
Last year's was 74.8, I believe, and this year's,
If you buy a brand new one, no hours on it, it's 120,000.
Oh, my. Holy cow.
What, do you know what ours has on it for ours? Just by,
For hours, I think it's got about 6,000 on it.
Is that right?
It's 2003.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I don't know if we have a whole lot of choice. We have the equipment reserve fund that we could pull from if we need to in a purchase like this. I would assume the golf budget doesn't have anything near this available to it.
no, we keep that pretty simple. And the, Trace went through and sold some equipment last year as well, some extra funding to help with some of these purchases.
So would you, if we did this, you'd pull all 40 out of reserve?
Correct,
and then if they sell that, that goes toward the machine.
back into reserve.
I'd move we approve the purchase.
We got a motion on the table by Don
Master.
to purchase of the Toro Rule Master 3550-D. I would second that motion. All those in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Motion approved for the purchase of the Toro. Good job. Anything else from the golf? Nothing? Okay. ED's up next. Nick, what have you got for us?
Just a couple of things to get you guys a blessing on. We have 3 program applications with our meeting this month. One of them is Heart Choices, new business here in town. They came with a commercial property revitalization grant application that maxes out at $3,000. That was to do signage and put up some window lettering and stuff at their new location. They're kind of right there across from the Mike Gooder's church in that area there. Again, this is a new business to town. Heart Choices, I think they provide a lot of child services or helping families connect unwanted kids and things like that. We had just unanimously approved that, but not too much discussion or naysaying on it. Everything was in order with the documentation on that one. So just looking for approval
We'll
on
do these
that one.
individually, I assume, Bill?
Yes, please.
Okay, so we got an application and it was approved by AD for a granting amount of $3,000.
Correct. And they were doing all the business with Stansberry's locally in town here, so just a good deal.
Dawn, you got anything about this?
No.
Tracy? Brady?
No.
I'd make that motion.
I'll second it.
Seconded by Brady. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion approved. $3,000 in Heart Choices.
Okay, the next one was a residential revitalization grant for 217 East Street. This is the Kramer residence. They're putting almost $30,000 worth of new windows all the way around their house. We did have a lot of discussion about this because, again, the tugging that line of residential, commercial, and a lot of our funds have been reserved for mostly people that are trying to get rentals and new housing in place. This one, after a lot of discussion, the board decided because it was such a substantial investment and it was going to raise the property taxes, which is one of the key items of our, what we arbitrate when we go through these things. We decided it was a worthy cause to do that one. But that's like I said, they're putting $27,434 into the new windows. They've already put a deposit down. They had all their documentation in order. Board unanimously approved to grant them a $3,000 grant.
You don't think you might have opened a can of worms?
We do. And that's the thing is we're trying to shut that can of worms right now. And I think I brought that up last time I was here. One of the priorities for us is to update the application as it stands, just to let people know that our priority is such. But based on the current guidelines, they met all the things, the criteria. And that was
$3,000. That's a minuscule amount considering the purchase of those windows.
right. And that was the biggest part of our discussion, Don, was, this was just a small, because we've had people come up and say, hey, I just need help taking some trees out of my house, or I want to put back steps on, or, there's been different kinds of asks. The biggest thing that our board comes back to every time is like, does it improve the property value so that it's going to substantially raise the amount of taxes that the county or the city will collect in on the property, right? So that's like one of our determining factors. Another determining factor is it going to improve the quality of the neighborhood? And that's subjective to some extent, but putting brand new windows in a house does make it look substantially better. We have a lot of people that will come to us and say, oh, well, my house is going to be more sellable because I put a new furnace in it. Yes, I agree that contributes to the market value of your home, but that does not contribute to the tax assessed value, right? Putting new windows in or adding a garage or adding more livable square footage to your house, those types of things do create an event that would raise the tax base. And so that was what the board was mostly keyed in on this one, is the impact to the community or to the neighborhood, and then the impact to the bottom line for the county and the city from a tax base standpoint. But yes, the answer to the can of worms, yeah, we're trying to address that right now with just what our application says. So we can head more people off at the pass there. And then we just tell people, whether it's for a residential application or a revolving loan grant, it's like, hey, this is just going to be subject to availability and priority of funds too. So we don't just say, oh, just because you met all the criteria, we got to rubber stamp this thing. You know, we are trying to be very judicious about that.
So from what I gather, your grants are pretty much limited to exterior things that would add to the value of the property. Is that correct? Because you can't see if you got a new furnace.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I mean, as long as they're things that are quantifiable in some manner that we can correlate them back to an increase in property tax. Because again, somebody could say, oh, I'm going to put a new furnace in. Well, that's not going to create an event. But if somebody went in and said, hey, I'm going to convert my garage into a living space with a bathroom. Well, now all of a sudden you have created an event where the tax assessor is going to come in there and reassess the property. So it's using that as a standard, I guess, is a little bit of the standard that we use. What is the impact going to be to the tax base? Like that's our big question.
So if a property had a lot of dilapidated dead trees and the homeowner wanted to remove those, do you not think that would or not?
That would be one of those that's like super subjective, because it's going to be like, all right, it's not going to increase the value. So take that one off the list. Now it's coming back to, is it a threat to the town? You know, is that tree going to fall on somebody else's house? Is it going to fall in the road? You know, we'll start to look at some of those kind of things. But there's probably other avenues that we would, in that specific example, I think there's probably other avenues that we would suggest, and maybe that would be talking with like Rick's crew or something of like, hey, what can we do from the city to take care of this, or, without just throwing money at it.
I think our concern is no different than yours. We want to make sure we're consistent.
Right.
And that, just like you mentioned, that $27,000, Dawn, is that the grant of $3,000 is so minute compared to the investment the homeowner's making. But if you're taking that into part of your decision factor, where does the threshold change?
Right.
From a big amount to
Yeah.
not?
Yeah. And that's a great question. And that's just something that I feel like we're just going to have to continue to tune into and dial in, because, you can make these applications up, in a vacuum and say, oh man, this is a great program, and then until people start testing it,
Right.
and then you start finding out, okay, we
I
have a
think
hole
the
here, we
idea
have a hole.
about the property tax value is a good deal, because if you remove trees, that's not gonna,
Right.
it's not gonna make a
No.
lick of difference.
No.
It might make it more sellable. but
Right,
It's not
right.
gonna help the tax base.
Might improve the neighborhood even, but it still
Right.
is not gonna, the neighborhood quality thing is almost more of like hey, that's an extra nice thing. It's not one of our foremost, decisions in it. Again, it's mostly like, hey, did you increase the square footage of the property? I think, for example, Chris Lindeman came in a couple months ago and he was building a garage, adding a garage onto his property, and we accepted that one, because there was going to be something that he was actually creating there that was like, we could actually like correlate that to an increase in property taxes versus something that says, oh man, it just looks nicer, or I'm going to be more comfortable, or it's going to be more efficient for me to operate my home. Like, okay, well, we don't care about that. I mean, we do care about it as people, but not as a board.
Right. Brady, any questions there?
No, I'm good.
Chris?
No.
No?
No.
If anybody wants to, we need a motion on the $3,000 grant for Kramer's, and ED says their documentation is all over there.
Correct.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Don, second by Tracy. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, the last one we have on the programs, this is a Jumpstart for a new business here in town. Jumpstart is a grant. It's $5,000. As long as you remain in business for 2 years, you do not have to pay that back, or you don't move your business out of the city or anything like that. You don't have to pay that back. So Deb Hansen with her business called Potential to Soar. We actually thought this was a really good addition to our community. She does real specialized healthcare with kids. I think a lot in like the mental health space. It's really an incredible service. It's not offered anywhere around here. I think Wichita or Grand Island is probably the closest you can get this type of service. and again, working specifically with kids. So she's going to have a retail location in that little strip center right there, right next to Park Choices, kind of. She had came to our board last month, and she had gotten just real close up to the line, and she didn't have all her stuff. We kind of conditionally approved it, just subject to her. Only thing she needed to do was bring her business plan, which she had it all ready to go. She just didn't have it in time for the meeting, and so we got the business plan from her, and so this was just the final approval of that $5,000 Jumpstart grant.
Okay. Paperwork's all in order there yet?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's just what we were waiting for.
I would make that motion for the Potential to Soar LLC Jumpstart Grant.
Second.
Second by Don. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion approved.
Okay, and then a couple more things here. Just those are all the things we needed, I guess, a big approval on. So one other thing, and Jill just sent me an email this afternoon about it. Heritage Townhomes. We've got a unit in there that we got to get the carpet changed on. Heritage Townhomes doesn't have any money, doesn't have enough money in their account to cover that. So we were going to make a loan to them. Economic Development was going to make a loan to Heritage Townhomes for up to $7,000. It's not going to be anywhere near that amount. In fact, I had just gotten the quote from Huffman's, and it was like less than $1,300 to replace all the carpet in there. But that's what we need to do to get that unit ready and rented. And we have 4 applicants right now that are waiting to get into one empty unit we have ready to go. That was one Mike Johnson was in. This unit here, we just need to get the carpet changed and then do a little touch-up paint. And then we've got another group that's going to be moving out at the end of this month. And so we'll have a 3rd unit available. We're also, through this process of availability with the new units, we're significantly increasing the rent amounts there. I think we've been charging on average like $375. We're going all the way up to $550 on these new occupants. We're trying to catch this up because there just wasn't enough over the years of catching the rent up. So we've been slowly renewing everybody on their 1-year renewal. But I just wanted to make the council aware that we were going to be doing that move of money. And I think I'll talk to Jill a little bit more probably tomorrow or so, but she was suggesting some other ways we could do it besides, we just threw out there out of the revolving loan fund. We weren't sure where to pull the money out of, but some way that we can make it work within the, inner workings of what we already have, framework of what we already have. So I just wanted to point that out. I don't really need any, I guess, unless you guys, Jill, unless you think they need to do anything
Regular
on it.
expenditures, and what I explained to him is we budget some of that expense just in case. It's some of you that have been on for a while, remember property taxes.
Mhm.
We used to have to cover that.
Yeah.
So it's a little easier paperwork side. The board doesn't have to come up with a lot. We can do a very simple coverage, and if needed, an agreement, but considering the board runs
Yeah,
the townhomes, as long as we document everything,
yeah.
that can come through.
And I think that we could get it paid back relatively quickly
Yeah.
just by getting these units rented. It's just, we just didn't know. We just want to make sure we're doing everything above board and not, oh my gosh, where'd you guys move that money from,
The biggest
So-
thing with that is just letting us know, since there's 3 of us in
Right,
there,
right.
that, yes, we need to pay it instead of sending it to Nancy.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And then the last thing, guys, I just wanted to bring this up. This is in respect to our revolving loans. So a little bit of the backstory here. Twisted Pedal has been a business that has been in our crosshairs for a long time because they haven't made any payments on. They owe $35,584.65, and they're about $8,200 in arrears. So there's about $8,200 of the payments they just haven't made at all. We started pressing on them a little bit earlier last year about it, and we're trying to get some documentation lined up with them. They were refusing to sign the documents. It kind of turned into a little bit of a mess, and then Bryce just told us not to do it. He would pursue it, or the council would pursue it, and we needed to stop worrying about it. Well, now we heard, and I guess evident, that their business opened up this morning.
That's what I was going to ask you. I saw the open this morning.
Yeah, so they came up at our meeting Thursday night that maybe this was going on, and so we just put it on our radar and just wanted to bring it up to your guys'. I don't know what the answer or the solution is, and maybe, I don't know, have an idea with you or what, but I don't know what we need to do to try to recover those funds. But it's not, I don't think it's fair that we should hold it against the new owners. I don't have any idea what happened or what is happening there. We certainly don't want to hold it against the
Oh,
new
so we have
owners.
different owners now.
Yeah, there's a different owner in there,
Oh.
is my understanding.
Well, I understood
Is
that,
she staying, Deb's staying on to do flowers?
And see, I just don't know. That's what I said. We don't know anything. And so we're like, hey, we need to talk about
I don't know if
this.
she's brought them in as a partner.
Right.
What
I've
it was.
heard-
Yeah.
The impression that I got is that Deb is renting the coffee site to the new business. Then they're gonna operate the coffee and she's still gonna do her flowers.
Gotcha. Yeah.
so they did not buy the business.
They did not buy the building. Deb still owns the building and the business.
Well, I think we've got to do something, because I heard that originally the sale of the business was going to pay the loan.
And and I've heard that for 2 years now
Yeah.
too. So I just don't know. And I don't know what teeth we have, I just didn't want this to be something that just falls behind the wayside and then.
It can't be
6 months.
ignored.
Yeah. From now it's.
35, almost $35,000.
And we've been pretty successful with all the loans we've made. This one's just been a problem since day one. And even just trying to get a good faith payment out of them, we've tried in the past. Hey, give us $100, something, and it's just like, there's no response, and we're not collectors. We don't know what to do. So,
My understanding, the last time we spoke about it, I thought Bryce was going to ask the council for permission to engage a collection agency to try and collect it. And
Sure.
then that was the last I heard.
Yeah.
So
Bryce told me a different story. He
yeah,
was going to visit with them and see if we could set up a new arrangement. And I have heard nothing since.
yeah. And we haven't heard anything from anybody really, that's definitive on anything other than just like, hey, yeah, we'll take care of this. Is it something you guys should worry about?
Well, sounds like there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen.
There's a lot of cooks. in the
Maybe
kitchen.
we should visit with Bryce when he returns and see where he's at.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense.
And
I was hoping he was
So
here.
you guys kind of know what
Yeah.
has taken or not taken place, and then we can
Yeah.
come up with a plan. of-
Yeah. We were just all surprised last Thursday. Scott Roth, one of the board members, brought it up and said, hey, has anybody heard about this? And we were like, no, nobody heard about it. And then it was like, oh, well, this is going on. So we thought, well, better bring it up to you guys.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's bring Bryce up to speed on what we think might be happening, and then we can see where he left off with them.
Yeah. Because I don't want to throw Bryce under the bus
Right.
either and
You
say
bet.
like, oh, well,
You
he
bet.
said he was going to do this. Or,
Right.
I just think there's a whole bunch of weirdness going on with it. And there just has been from a long time back. And so
Does she still have the place is it Red Clyde?
I have no idea. Yeah. I just
That she
don't
doesn't
know.
have that place either.
I just don't know.
Check that too.
Don't know anything. I wish I did. So anyways, that's all I had. Unless you guys got anything for me.
And then on the back page, we have some Rod reports. Is that,
Yeah, that came in an email today, so I included it for your information.
Okay.
It's all confidential, so
very
please keep that in mind.
Yeah.
anything for Nick, Don,
No.
Chrissy?
No,
Brady? I keep forgetting about Dave. You got anything for?
No, I don't, thanks. All right.
Thank you.
You guys know where to find me if you do.
Jamie, you got anything for us?
Don't really have anything. I need to talk to Jerry and Karen about a complaint that they had. That with the weather, I haven't had a real good chance to check out. And probably have to have Rick help. His residence next to theirs on Washington Street. Got concerns about vehicles and stuff starting to pile up there, so.
Yeah, it's becoming a junkyard.
So we'll address that. I just haven't with the snow, I haven't been able to check, there's a couple vehicles parked in there, and I was gonna check, see if the current tags got covered up with snow. So,
Why don't you check in on that, and if you would, report back to us next meeting so we know what we're
okay,
at on
that's
it.
fine.
Jerry, did you have anything to add there on that situation?
No, I'm here for the Chamber of Commerce.
Okay, all right.
I had-
Wearing multiple hats.
I hate to
Man
say
of
this,
many
it slipped my
skills.
mind because I brought it up, I think, at the last meeting, and like I said, with snow and everything.
Right.
And I have a limited ability to go on property to survey things, so that's where Rick and I have to work together.
Sure. Don't anything for
No.
Chrissy?
no.
Brady?
Nothing.
I don't either. Thank you, Jamie. Rick, you have anything for us?
We got those 2 trucks cleaned up and he came down Wednesday, took pictures. They'll go on the February 9th to into February sale, I believe. That's what the date is. Had 5 water leaks in 4 days. Everything went pretty good. First 2 we could shut down, the other 2 we couldn't, but we made it through it, so.
You messaged me about a
Mini X.
piece of equipment, yeah. Tell us what you're thinking there.
Well, up there, by Beckman's building on Jefferson and right there south of 36, we had a water leak, which was a 4-inch line, and it sets back about a foot from the curb, from the back of the curb. Well, when we get down there, you have AT&T making a complete loop around it with one line, and AT&T coming by it with another line and going right by it, just on the outside of the water line. Well, right underneath that, there's a culvert. So we dug down to it with our backhoe, and it was minus 20 whatever degrees. I went and got Chris and put some RV antifreeze in our vac machine. Well, that didn't work. And I put it back in the shop really quick because I didn't want to mess it up. So long story short, we hired Kingsbury to come over with his Mini X with a little 1-foot bucket because it fit between the culvert and the water line, dug it down and fixed it. They've been talking about wanting to get a Mini X for a long time, and I got some pictures, and I was going to show everybody if they wanted to see them that's an instance where it would come in handy, but there again, 1 block away, we had somebody we could hire that.
Right.
Might be cheaper in the long run that way.
You're not paying insurance, you're not paying everything on it, plus the $60,000 or $80,000 it's going to cost you to buy it. And I'm not saying we don't need one. I'm just saying that Tracy's got one. We can coerce him into coming over, and Shockley just happened to be at the hole with us. And he said, "Well, I'll go get mine." He just rotored it over there and dug it out for us. And so
you want it on your wish list.
yeah, I mean,
So, I mean, you can't put a smaller bucket on what we got in a situation like that, correct?
On the big backhoe?
yeah, we got it. We actually have I think it's a 6-inch.
Yeah, I've got a 10-inch, it'll fit on mine, it's got 2-footer on it.
Is that a chore to probably?
The bad thing about it is they're so big. I mean, ours is a 2-foot bucket and it's this deep. Our 6-inch bucket's this deep. You gotta clean it out with a spade.
Yeah, every time.
Every swipe you
That's the
take,
problem, it's just
it
like a
won't come
trench.
out. We haven't had it on forever because I don't care if the dirt's dry, if it's got a little moisture, if it's muddy, you gotta dig the damn thing out with a spade every
Yep.
scoop you take out of there. And it's more of a pain than, you know.
There's advantage with that Mini, but I'd like to have a vac, personally.
Yeah.
I mean, because there's so much stuff buried. You can't, a lot of times, I can't even dig it because there's so much wire, fiber, gas.
And I tried to tell them,
And I hire
you
them
know,
guys.
you get a Mini X, you're gonna have to have a trailer.
Yep.
Every time you can't just jump in and go across town like you can with the backhoe.
Yeah,
It's a track machine.
Oh.
You can, but it's not good on it and it's not
Nope,
legal probably.
So we have 2 in town
we
already.
got 3 or 4 in town.
Does John have?
John's got 1, I got 1, Jared's got 3, 2. I mean,
I think it's a valid point, but if we had to put a hierarchy of what we gotta have versus what we would like to have, I don't know if it's there yet. I don't disagree, would be nice, especially when you guys are working in negative 15-degree weather.
And Ryan's biggest complaint is when he's gotta work on a meter pit or a valve that half of it's in their yard and we'd come rolling in there with the backhoe and stick the downriggers down, you know, a foot in the ground, and you're just tearing
Makes a
everything
mess.
up, which
Right.
it's a little bit cleaner, but
they are not.
I never brought it up because I was gonna let Ryan shoot this at you guys because I've got mixed feelings and I've let them know that.
Well, let's not let it die, but if he wants to come talk about it, then we can talk about it.
It just seems to me with the initial expense, you would take a lot of years to make up what difference it would be hiring these guys to do it. Some years we might never use it. Around here, you couldn't say that, I suppose.
Besides when it's, cold like it was that day.
Yeah.
That back could do even more so than any.
But the problem with a mini, and if the ground's froze,
Yeah,
they're worthless. You can't, they just slide on the tracks. You can't, you gotta clean them and you can't.
we had to use the jackhammer on the skid steer on the one Tuesday. I think it was the last one. That ground was so frozen, we had to use the jackhammer and break the dirt off a foot deep. And then he could use the backhoe. So Mini X wouldn't done you a damn bit of good there.
No.
I mean, you'd been doing the same thing. But
So you need a Mini X when it's really cold, but when it's really cold, sometimes you can't use them.
Yeah. Or when you need to get into a small one.
Well, they'd be handy, no doubt.
They are handy.
And there's a fine line in there where we
Yep.
don't want to compete with our local businesses as well. Okay, yeah, valid point for sure. We'll, if he wants to discuss it, maybe he can come sell us the story on it. Anything else, Rick?
no, I don't think so.
Don, you got anything?
Now, the only thing that I heard through this whole snow, and it has nothing to do with us, but the resident wished that people were a little more cautious of where they were parking. Because the street they were on, the people were parked on the correct side of the street, but they didn't realize that when they were parked, they barely left enough room for a vehicle to go through. If they'd have moved back a little bit and maybe had to walk a little bit, the car could have got through with no trouble. But they were right across from each other. And of course, you couldn't get to the curb because there was snow. And he said, I don't think they realized they had about shut the road down because a single vehicle could barely get through it. But I knew that at church.
That's because those cars were there when we went through more.
No, these were-
One of them was there.
These guys, he didn't tell me that. He just said they ended up being parked right across from each other. He said if the last one that parked, if they just would have moved down a little ways, it wouldn't have been a problem at all. But that's here nor say. That's nothing to do with us. It's common sense, I think.
The amount of snows that we had is almost monumental for
Oh,
our area.
boy.
It turned out pretty well, really, for how our streets.
I should have
ended up.
thought so.
Yeah. Be glad we're not out in the country.
Yeah,
City.
yeah, I think we did a superb
4
job.
hours to go a half a mile.
You have anything for Rick?
Nope, good job on fixing the water leaks.
For sure. Brady?
No, I'm good.
Dave, you have anything for Rick?
No, I don't.
Thank you, Rick. Jill, you have the floor.
All I have is, our other transit van is now on the road when it can be. We have a meeting tomorrow. Our new hire is just about to get on himself. And I will be putting out some advertisements to see if we can get a couple more drivers. As we're going to need them. So that is going pretty well and it is scheduled quite heavy. We've had a lot of cancellations with weather, obviously, so our rider numbers are down. But our calls have increased, so that'll be a plus. That's all I have.
Who decides if we go or not? With
Typically,
weather? You? Okay.
typically though, I kind of rely on those drivers because
Okay.
they're the ones out there doing
Right.
it. Obviously, if I see that it could be a big risk and they're wanting to try it, I'll shut it down anyway.
Yeah, because I think one thinks he can make it, the other thinks he can't. I don't think that's good. It's either all or nothing.
Correct.
Yeah.
And we have shut down a few days over this. It's not worth it.
And
And it
rightfully so.
also, in some cases, keeps some people home that don't need to be out in this weather.
Jill. This is just my own personal opinion, but I think that you ought to put our golf course superintendent through the driving school. That would give him something to do during the winter.
Now here's some
Good suggestion, thank you. I'll take that into consideration.
Oh, Joe, I was gonna ask you too, that stuff you sent me from the pool, the other towns,
Yes,
did you send that to everybody?
it was in the information
Yeah, last,
last.
okay. I was curious.
That's all you had, Jim?
That's all.
Don't you have anything else?
No.
You have anything for Jill?
Nope.
Dave, you have anything for Jill?
No, I don't.
Thank you, Jill.
Thank you.
Tabitha, do you have anything for us?
You skipped Ariel, but.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'll come back there. I'll come back. Go
You
ahead.
don't have anything?
Hey, Bryce.
I got the signed contract back on the property for the lagoons.
Oh.
And so when Bryce is back, he can sign those. It's fine. They're working on getting it surveyed, correct?
Yeah, the surveyor said that, so we had another surveyor go out there because Wilson and Company was gonna be super expensive. And they didn't really want to do it type of deal. So we had, I helped get Ed Enling, who works for Deed Surveying. They do a lot of stuff for the county. He came out, did the survey, basically like what they had the renderings for, but there was like 3 different renderings. They're like, we need a 6-acre option, a 7-acre option, an 8-acre, and so the surveyor, our other surveyor went out there, surveyed the land and has submitted that survey back to Wilson and Company. And then the guy from Wilson and Company just said, hey, I've been busy with some other stuff. I'll look at this stuff and get it. So I think that's what they're waiting on that, is just to make sure that the survey where they flagged is going to fit what they need spec-wise. So.
I think all of it is good to go at this point. It's just gonna matter. It's gonna come down to exactly how much land we purchase to
Right.
figure out how much we owe or how much we need.
Yeah.
But we have we've agreed on the price. You guys have already voted on all that. So it's just kind of getting all the pieces in place.
Anything else?
No.
No, you have anything?
No.
Tracy, you have anything?
Nope.
Very good. Dave, you have anything for Tabitha?
No, I don't.
Thank you. Sorry, Ariel, do you have anything for us?
I do not.
See, there you go.
I'm just trying to save you some headache there. Jerry, you're not on the agenda, but do you need to visit with us about anything?
I do.
You're not on the agenda.
That's all right. We'll squeeze you in. What do you got for us?
So usually she knows me, but maybe they heard it yet.
Well, I'm here for the Chamber of Commerce on our yearly money that we ask from you. I'd like to raise that up to 12,000 this year instead of 9,000 for 2 different reasons. Diane Peterson has submitted her resignation, but she will stay on until we find somebody to replace her. But I don't think that we're going to be able to hire somebody for $9.41 an hour. We could raise our membership fees and so forth, but when we do that, we're going to lose people for that. I think we need to use our money for advertising as much as we can, because if you don't advertise, how are you going to get across things? I'm just amazed at Downs, how much they can advertise and work on the trader, and then on TV, I don't know how they do it. I'm going to find out how they do it, but I think it's very important that we use most of that membership money for advertising purposes. And so we rely on the money that the city gives us for wages. We also have bought into the Main Street program, which right now is $400 a year for just to be a member of that. But if we have people go to their meetings, which they set up 4 meetings a year, which, if you're going to get all the information you want, you need to go to those meetings. Some of them won't pertain to our size of community, so we don't. But if we ask people to go, then we have to pay for their room and board too, because it's usually a 2-day deal. So I'm just here to ask, and our board wanted me to come and see if we can get 12,000 instead of 1,200. 12,000, yeah, instead of $9,000 a year.
How long has it been? 9,000.
2
2
years.
years,
Was
I think.
8, wasn't it?
And it was 8 before that. And this comes from industrial development funds, which we do have some funds there that have not been allocated elsewhere. That's why we held on to the right beginnings, 5,000. We were trying to determine whether we could utilize that out of that funding or not. Ended up, we went the safe route and did not. There is some funding there, and I don't have the dollar amount in my head right now. We receive, I believe, around 5,000 a year. However, other than utilizing it for that purpose, we have not expended out other than the chamber.
We also, out of the chamber, we pay for a person to put up the flags that go on the community. I don't know how that became our responsibility, but that, that's money we have to come up with.
How did that come about? Why is that Chambers expense?
It was there before I came. I don't know.
Yeah, we don't know how it comes that we have to do that if it gets done, but I think that's another important thing to get done too.
Yeah, it is important, but how it falls under your umbrella is.
I have not found a lot of information on the chamber, even when it all was created. I found some from decades ago where the city did, there was a lot of collaboration. And I don't know how that changed, when it changed, but and we're talking decades,
Yeah.
several decades.
That's a city employee that puts those up.
Well, it just happens to be, it's because he asked us, we asked him if he'd do it. Because he don't do it as a city employee.
He does that.
When does he do it?
He does it before he goes to work and after he goes
Okay,
to
so
work.
he's not on the clock.
No.
Yeah, he does it.
Well, it's a lot of weekends there too.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen him out there.
Well, that's interesting.
It is.
Yeah, I can't figure out why. That shouldn't be on us.
And Mark has resigned from doing that too,
Oh, he
so
has.
Chris Huffman's gonna be doing it.
I think
Unless the city wants to take it over.
Well, we could sure pay
We're
him.
looking for an off job. There you go.
Dawn discussion?
No, I think that's something we should pick up. With the change now, that might be the easiest way to do it.
Well, what we do is, what we're doing now is $40 every time they do it. Is what, and it was a lot less than that before. But they keep them doing it, we had to go $40.
Right.
But that's, you're committing them that day in the morning and at night, so they can't do nothing throughout the day, and that's usually on a holiday.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to
Close
find people.
Yeah.
That is true.
Discussion? Anything?
No.
The chamber's such a big part of what we do with the city. I see where you're at on the funding. I don't think you're out of line asking for that amount of money to do what you need to do.
Well, I think a chamber and city has to work together if you're going to do any benefit to the community.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
One thing I might just interject with, I know we've had some discussions in econ development about, before Dana and Dana both had resigned, we had some discussions about Dana Hoyta. She was a part-time employee for us, and potentially, is there a way that we could help and she could be a part-time employee for us, but also a part-time employee for the chamber? And I think there's a lot of sense that can be made out of something like that. And certainly, if they all are city employees, I don't know if the chamber director is a city employee or if that's a totally independent thing.
It's independent.
It comes out of the budget that we get.
Right. So I'm just thinking we're in the process right now of trying to hire new people, and we've had some realistic discussions in our group about, are we going to be able to find this? Because I want to be real careful that we don't blend the lines of what economic development does and what chamber do. They're two really totally different functions. I think a lot of people feel easy to put them in the same bucket, but they're not. But I do see some synergy in what those groups do and how we could potentially share it.
They're still working to benefit the community.
Exactly. And a lot of the projects that they're working on are overlap too. And then if it's a part-time shared employee or something like that, or maybe it's instead of a part-time for them and part-time for us, it's one full-time employee that's subsidized by, their budget or what. I just think that there's some discussions that we're having right now with potential candidates that this ought to be a bigger discussion about potentially too, if it helps everybody. I don't wanna-
But the main thing with that economic development person, you need to have somebody that's
She was a part-time.
ready to go out and get grants and know how to do it. Yeah. So you need somebody that's knowledgeable about that stuff.
Yep, and we really need two kind of hats in our group. We need somebody like that, that's real familiar with the programs that can connect people and businesses. But we also need like somebody just there to answer the phone every day, and do day-to-day things, process applications or work with Heritage
I think
Townhomes.
that Heritage Townhomes is a big headache.
It's a big headache for us, but that's also, again, something we've explored and say, can we hire somebody, like, they just hired a new gal over at Western Plains, and she's gonna be doing part-time administrative work for them. Could we hire her as a part-time administrator for, so I just think that as we're all talking about finding people, and I think that we all should just stay in communication, and say, hey, does it make sense
I agree.
that this person can do this and this, so. That doesn't negate your ask for 12,000. I just wanted to bring it up as part of a timely discussion.
Jill mentioned when Joe Nitch was with us, she shared
Did
responsibilities.
both of them, yeah. And a lot of the communities, quite frankly, the small towns around us, that person usually is wearing both of those hats and maybe a couple more hats in their community. So it's not, a foreign concept, obviously.
Right.
So I don't know, just food for thought, really. Like, I don't have any ideas. We don't have anybody we're about to hire either. So it's hard to say that. I just think while we're looking at hiring people, we should be thinking about you guys on the side and how can we work together. So.
Brady, you have any thoughts on 12,000?
I'm good with it.
I am too. I think it's a must.
I'd make that motion to increase the budget from the city from 9,000 to 12,000.
I'll say, go ahead.
I'll second it.
Second by Brady. All those in favor say aye.
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 This one ain't being paid.
Motion approved.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Jerry.
Jerry.
Okay, it's another meeting now.
On to the next.
I think everybody needs to attend that meeting.
Governing body reports. I don't have anything. Tracy, you have anything?
I don't.
Dawn?
You guys saw the stuff that Jill got from the other communities on their swimming pools. And we're not out of line with what we're paying. I think it's going to be a serious issue this year again, because they all pretty much said the same thing, that they had a terrible time last year and trying to get guards. So we'll see. But that's something that I need to get that announced at school.
But from a wage perspective, we're, from what I saw, in line.
We're right.
Yeah,
So
we're
at
in
least
line.
We're competitive.
we can say we're trying to do our
Even
part.
more than some.
Right.
Do you want us to get the advertising out to the
Yes.
school now instead of waiting until next month?
I think I would.
I would,
Yes.
So that to maybe enhance.
for all summer help.
I did get something from Rec Commission. There's a meeting January 24th at 6 Schrader Center. Now, I know they've never done this before. There's going to be a light supper served by the Smith County Community Foundation. They'll be meeting with the strategic planning set up by the Community Foundation to discuss a plan for the recreational training center. I think that, the building they're talking about. I don't know if it's out yet. It's a lady from the Hanson Foundation they're going to meet with. And he says foundation, so it will be a good setup for larger grants. They're going to have a brief group meeting right after. Plans to discuss track, baseball, softball, soccer, youth golf, and they plan to create a community flyer with dates of events for 2024. So those guys, they're not sitting on their hands.
What was that?
That's good.
What?
What was the date?
26th.
26th.
Thank you.
I think that's what it was, wasn't it? 24th. Wednesday, the 24th at 6 p.m.
That's this Wednesday.
Yeah.
Is,
And where did you say it was?
Schrader,
Should I take that phone?
right next door.
are you attending?
I don't know. I probably should. No. I think I get involved in basketball this week.
My son had a baseball camp Sunday in Salina at, I don't even know what the place was called, Salina Event Center or something.
Yeah.
And great, big, beautiful facility. And one of the gymnasiums was a Dane G. Hansen, clear down there. They must give,
They're all over. The Salina Community Foundation helped me with one of my first grants I wrote for the city.
yeah.
I don't think they can spend the money they have.
Yeah, I didn't realize that they were that diverse in area. That's good. Anything else, Don?
No.
Dave, have you got anything to share with the council?
No, I don't.
Okay, thanks, Dave. Tracy?
No.
Brady?
No.
Trace.
Trace, you have any? I don't either. Any other business for the City of Smith Center for the January 22nd City Council meeting? If not, I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Dawn,
Second.
second by Tracy. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Dave, I about had to kick you off because Senator Russell Marshall's got me a phone call.
Oh, geez, that would have been horrible.
This thing is going on down